Hello guys, welcome to my channel. In this lesson we're going to talk about how to add complex numbers, subtract, and how to multiply complex numbers. Alright, so to get started we're going to start with the imaginary unit I, and that represents the square root of -1. Okay, again we will go ahead and get started. Alright, let's take for example we are asked to add 5 minus 2i plus 3 plus 6i. So if we're given this, so how do we add up that? So what we want to do here is to add up the real parts. So this parts here are called real. The real parts. So when we add them, that would just be 5 plus 3, and that's going to be equal to 8. Right? And then we also look at the other parts, which we call the imaginary parts. So it will be -2i plus 6i, and that is exactly be equal to 4i. So meaning that when we add this complex number here for number 1, it will be 8 plus 4i, and that's what you call the standard form. Because to write a complex number in standard form, you want it to be a plus bi or x plus yi, where a or x are real numbers, and then b, I, and yi would represent the complex part, okay, the imaginary parts. All right, so let's go ahead and do another example where we will be subtracting. So let's look at 3 minus I, then minus 5 plus 4i. To do this, what I'm going to do here is to just look at the real parts first. So I'm going to subtract the real parts, which means 3 minus 5, and we know that gives -2. And I'm going to go to the imaginary parts, which is -i and 4i's, and subtract them. So which means I have -i minus 4i, and that's going to give me -5i. Now I now need to combine both of them, finish it off. It will be -2 minus 5i, and this will be your standard form. I think that's good. All right, let's go ahead and try another one. Here maybe we also multiply 3 plus 2i times 4 minus i. So in order to multiply, we will just do parts by parts, we distribute by parts. All right, so we're going to start with 3. So we're going to take 3 and multiply that to 4 minus i. So 4 minus i. Then you go to the plus here, plus sign here, and you take 2i and multiply to 4 minus i. All right, cool. So the next thing we're going to do here is to distribute 3 times 4, that'll be 12, and 3 times minus I, that'll be minus 3i. Then plus, and then we go 2 times 4i, that's going to be 8i, and then you go 2 times -i, that will be -2i to the second power, because you're having I times I, so I times I will be I to the second power. All right, so in order to simplify further, we'll just do 12, just drop this 12 down, and then you try to combine these like terms, which is 8 minus 3, okay, or -3i plus 8i will be positive 5i, and then you have minus 2. Now, I to the second power just means -1. Okay, so notice that I to the second power always represents -1. But we know that I is equal to the square root of -1. So we have to always bear this in mind. Okay, so we have I to the second power, so we're just going to use -1 to represent that. So here we have 12 plus 5i, and we have -2 times -1, that will be +2. So we should be done right here, but we need to leave our answer in standard form. So because of that, we would have to add 2 to 12, and that will end up being 14 plus 5i. Done. Let's try another example. Let's call this example 1. This part. Let's do another example. Okay, let's say 3 minus I times 4 plus 3i. I know this is multiplication because the sign here is always a dot, so I know that. So to do this, again, I will just distribute by parts. So it will be 3 in 4 plus 3i. Then I have minus I, right? It will be minus I must distribute to 4 plus 3i. All right, now I have to be very careful here. Okay, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to do 3 times 4, that's 12, and 3 times 3i, that's going to be 9i. Now I'm going to distribute -I, so I have to be very careful. So -I times 4, it will be -4i, and -I times +3i will give us -3i to the squared. Again, just like the first one, so the first example, that should give us, I'm just going to keep that 12, yes, 12. Then I'm going to combine these like terms. That will be 5i, imaginary parts. And here you have -3 times, we know that I to the squared is -1. And if we simplify further, we get 12 plus 5i, and then we just multiply this result to get 3. So we're going to have to combine 12 plus 3, and that's going to give me 15, then plus 5i again. All right, and this is your result. So this is how you can add, subtract, and multiply complex numbers. I'll see you again in another section where we would learn how to find the powers of I. Thank you very much.